When I was 14, I got my first job at Jersey Mike's and found that I liked being in the back, cooking the hot sandwiches way more than I like being up front, face to face with customers. You know, I love people individually, but I really don't like people as in the entirety. So yeah, I'd prefer not to be face to face with the customers, but that has all now had to change because that's all. I mean, that is one of the biggest things I can provide us is customer interaction and going and doing table visits and making sure everyone's enjoying themselves, spending 10 minutes talking to them, answering whatever questions they have, and then moving on. So I know that my staff appreciates seeing me down there doing that.
Look, hell of an intro. I tell you what you info, but I never really been the type of dude to give no info. But if you see your ends low and you trying to get a benzo, I'll give your ass some game that'll change the way that you think, bro. Super skilled with the pencil, super ill in my mental. I reminisce on life, I'm nice, here's my memento. Get it through your tempo, I get on any tempo and give it all I got. I'm hot, I got like 10 flows, trying to live on the 10th floor, across from residentials that I own. My mind stayed grown, I used to think clothes, I really used to think hoes and what I do to get those, and then I switched it up. I'm only thinking.
What's up, you man?
It's recording already.
It is. Let's get the party rolling. Let's get it. We're back with another one, the Walk and Grow podcast, where we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. And today we have one thing for sure is we love sharing stories, and we love talking about stories, not only our own, but others. And I think that's where we really strive, and that's where we really get our best content is when we talk about the stories. And you're not only hearing it from our voices. So we have a unique story today that we're going to bring to you guys. So make sure you do tune into the entire episode. You're not going to want to miss this one, because this one is one that I'm pretty 100% sure that you probably haven't heard anything like this before. So we have a gentleman here by the name Thor is what we call him. But if you don't know him, you'll definitely know him by when I say his full name, Marco Thor. He's a unique individual who has experienced a lot in his lifetime, and where that you'll learn a little bit more about, just the good, the bad, and the ugly, and just how one is able to navigate it. But he does a lot for this community here in Raleigh. If you don't know him, you can Google him. I'm sure you can, and you'll see everything that he does within the community. If you ever have been to a Whiskey Kitchen, check it out. That's the man behind the entire mission. That's the man behind the entire thing. So definitely, support. Do everything you can to make sure that, everyone is good on that. And you have anything that, am I missing anything?
No, just throw out there that I do have a business partner.
Okay.
So it's not just me.
Nah.
I had a lot of help getting that.
There you go. I mean, you
can't
get
that thing going.
It's tough to do it on your own.
Yeah, I mean, I got into the accident when it was under construction. So, it was almost derailed. But very luckily, real good friends. I keep good people around me. And a couple guys came through and, got the place up and running, got the kitchen up and running. And yeah, allowed me to focus on myself and my healing. And then allowed me to return to a well-oiled machine,
Yeah. That's powerful.
To a very popular spot. Yeah.
So you said the incident happened when the restaurant was under construction?
Yeah, so we got the building in 2015, December 2014, but call it 2015.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got into my accident in November 2015. So it was still a shell.
Mm-hmm.
The bar wasn't in there. There was a plywood bar where the bar was going to be just for, spatial recognition. But yeah, it was wild, man. It was really wild.
That's the importance of just a team.
I tell you what, I've got a very large, long-standing base, group of friends. My longest I knew since I was 11. So.
Oh wow. And he's in business with you right
19 years? No.
Okay.
No, Jeff Mickle is my business partner. He used to run the Flying Saucer.
Okay.
You guys been there?
Yes.
I haven't.
It's a beer bar.
Okay.
A lot of craft beers. Something like 100 taps on the wall.
Phew.
Something like that. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
And they
Pretty
have
wild
food. They have
spot.
food there as well, right? Yeah.
They do have food there. Yeah, they have food. They got, like I said, a lot of beer. It was very popular and wildly successful. He was, meeting his sales growth goals year after year after year after year, and it's like,
That's the man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the man.
Absolutely.
Definitely the man you want to partner with, especially if you're trying to grow something.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you meet Jeff, and when did you realize that he would be a good partner for you?
I met Jeff. When was that? That was probably like 15, 16 years ago. Good long while. I had a bunch of friends that worked at the Flying Saucer way back when. A lot of the waitresses, you don't know, but they all wear like little schoolgirl fucking outfits. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's nice, little pleated skirts. But anyways, so yeah, I was friends with some their staff, and then I met Sarah, my wife, and she was not making the money that her beautiful ass could make at trips. So I told her she should go down there and apply, and that's the rest of it. That's when like Jeff ended up marrying one of the girls, and Sarah and her were friends, so we started hanging out together, in a more friendly manner than we had prior to that. But
so you were able to build a relationship off of that.
Yeah, we were able to build a relationship off of that.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I got a question. There's always this one question that goes through my mind when meeting like a lady and just trying to identify, like, hey, is she the one? What made you, I guess, know that, all right, yeah, this is the one that I want to move forward with?
I think that finding the one feels very limiting. I think that all relationships are a give and a take. You're not gonna like everything.
Right.
Everything. I didn't like everything about her. She didn't like everything about me. But the fact that we got together really well. She's head over fucking heels for me. We had already bought a house together, so it needed to happen in order for the relationship to last any longer. I got fucking sick and tired of every time one of our friends got married, fucking having to hear all that, so that was my compromise. I never wanted to get married in the first place, but I think it's good that we did, especially seeing as how everything turned out. My wife being able to have to say is kind of better than my partner.
Amen.
She never legally changed her name, but around all the hospitals and doctors and all that shit, saying it was Sarah Thor just made more sense. more sense, and made it a bit easier. So
right on.
I didn't want her last name Santora. Like, that's a dope name. Thor is a really dope name, but Santora is also dope. And like, I think it's cool when fucking girls don't go through all the fucking trouble of changing their name and their IDs, Social Security. Just going through it all over the place. It seems
They have
problematic.
They have to change their sorry. They have to change their social too.
No, not their social.
Put the name on it.
Security number. Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine. I have to imagine it has to be like your updated
their name on it.
Name,
Yeah.
like credit cards, all that shit. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, independent. There's no reason. It's just a pain in the ass, and then you might have to undo it all anyway. So
I want to touch back on Jeff though.
Yeah, for sure.
How again? I think kind of go back on that question. Like, what attributes did you look in or see in Jeff that made you know, like, all right, yeah, let's move forward with Jeff, and maybe we could go ahead and go into some other ventures and
so
what led to whiskey.
Again, he ran a successful growth operation in the field that we're working in. And I knew that, like, he's also a very proud man, and he would not let himself be seen as a failure. And, I'm also very, very proud and would not let myself be seen as a failure amongst the community. That, like, I'm diehard Raleigh. Wasn't born here, didn't really even grow up here. But once I found the people of the city and watched it grow and change,
that was all you really needed to see.
That was all I really needed to see.
Yeah.
That was all I needed to see.
Where were you born and raised?
He's also got like a solid schmooze that he does. Be real personable and help get jobs done.
Yeah.
So that's primarily where all of that happened. And then I had told Sarah that, like, I'm ready to fucking quit working for other people. I need to open my own place. I started looking around even a little bit. And Jeff heard that was happening, and he came up, shouted at me, said, "I hear this happening. Like, you want a partner?" And I don't know fucking much about the business side of things. I mean, it's always a learning experience.
Absolutely.
But putting together a P&L and all that jazz. Putting together even the business plan. Not my strong suits. I'll go out and get us money and cook and make people feel that I'm a good investment. But my strong suit is not actually putting words and numbers on paper. Yeah.
So, would you say that's one thing that made the two of you be successful? The fact that you were able to identify early on that, hey, this is what I'm good at, and this is what Jeff is good at?
Oh, I've not. That took me forever. That was not early on, by any means. I mean, I was 33 when I finally decided that this was going to be the next move my life was going to take. I guess I was 32. Either way. Yeah, I mean, I fell into restaurants because I wasn't skilled at anything else. Hated school, bored the shit out of me. And yeah, I mean, I loved making people happy. I like putting smiles on people's faces, and that was very important to me. I was catering at the time. Had 90 employees that I was running the show for, making all the purchases, staffing, logistics, all of it. And, we'd have, like, some days there would be 4 fucking events on the same day. I'd have all 90 people, at least like I've contacted to see if they can work that day. And being able to put all of that together without a hitch, you know, was kind of what solidified it in me, that I had what it took to be, you know, to be a leader for my people. That's one of the hardest things that this accident has brought, is that I only know how to do that by demonstration, you know. I'm not a yeller. And so it's hard for me it was always, I would prefer to discipline you by showing you how to do it correctly. Let's make a little fun of you as well, but like always smiles on our face, you know, and let's do it in front of your coworkers and like bet money. You're probably not gonna do that shit again. You're gonna do it to the
That's one hell of a way to
standards,
discipline someone.
you know. I've never been. I try to be as respectful as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I mean, that's why I have such a great group of friends. That's why the city came out in droves to support me when I got hit by a car. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
I'll have to say it pays to be nice. That's fucking lesson learned.
So let's take it back. You mentioned a few things about the accident here, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners are thinking like, you know, what the hell is this guy talking about? Like, so I think in
November
in 2014, 2015 is when you said you guys officially acquired the building to have Whiskey Kitchen, and at that point, did you guys break ground already? Or did you?
Yeah.
You guys broke ground already?
Yeah, we had broken ground
Okay.
by November of that year.
And is this around the same time that your accident has occurred?
Yeah, well, in November
November.
we had broken ground. We had dug up the patio area. It was like this real lopsided parking lot kind of deal. So we had ripped all that up. It was a giant mud hole, you know. And yeah, nothing was inside the way it was, with the exception of the brick and the steel, you know.
Yeah.
So
It was almost like a body shop, or automotive shop, right?
it's always been something in the automotive genre. Building was built in 24, and it was a Goodyear factory, which is kind of crazy because
Oh wow.
you think about that block, like if you go down McDowell Street, there's an old dilapidated Firestone building there, and then if you take it up to where Crank Arm is, there's another Firestone factory there. They've had the entire block. It's kind of wild, but yeah, it was Firestone. Then in the 40s, it became Ford specific garage, and then in the I think mid 70s or early 60s, I can't exactly remember at the moment, but it was Wake County's first public EMS station. So there was a fire pole in there when we got it. Like, it was dope, man. It was so dope.
Man, that sounds like a lot of work you guys had to take care of.
Yeah. It was heavy for sure. Like breaking it down, like we did all of the demo ourselves. We emptied that entire place out. You know.
So now that you guys are doing all the work to get Whiskey, open and kind of bring that dream to reality, you have this moment in life where everything really changes for you.
Yeah. So
what happened before?
I was on a little motorbike. It was 150cc, something like a Vespa essentially, but it looked like a motorcycle. And I try to make that distinction because the second you hear motorcycle accident, it's like, well, yeah, no fucking shit. you're paralyzed, you know. But I got into an accident, I guess, out of the way. But yeah. So I was riding down Peace, and it turned into Wake Forest. Or no, I'm sorry, not Peace, but Person. Then after you get past Person Street Bar, it turns into Wake Forest
Okay.
Road, and there's an intersection with Glasscock. You familiar at all?
I'm not. Are you, for instance, familiar with that area?
I know what area.
It's if you go to Person Street right here, take a right. I mean, it's like 2 miles down the road. It's real close. But it was 2 lanes at that time. It's now only 1 lane, which is good. You know, won't happen to somebody else. But yeah, some girl, I guess, wasn't paying attention. I was apparently coming up on her rear, and she merged into me and sent me like worst fucking timing there could have been. Like, cause if I hadn't hit that telephone pole, I would have landed on a nice grassy downhill slope. Like, would have been fucking fine. But just a split second that was that wrong time is when it happens. So yeah, head first into a pole.
Damn.
I fractured my C2 vertebrae. Your C1 is at the base of your skull, and so is the next one. The next one down that I fractured. On most spinal cord injuries, there's displacement where the bone moves, and it cuts the spinal cord, like the outside of it. As long. But so that's where most people's injuries come from. My injury come from the fact that nothing was done to stop the swelling of the spinal cord. It didn't require any surgery, so there was no need to cut my neck open and allow the swelling to be released that way. There was no way. They didn't give me any steroids or steroids, I think.
Steroids, right? Drugs, oxy.
Yeah, no.
Just call it drugs.
No. Either way, they didn't give me whatever.
Yeah.
Was supposed to take that swelling down. They didn't put me on ice, and so it bruised, it swelled, it bruised, it scarred, and that's what I'm working through. I'm working through a really bad bruise, essentially. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just happens to be in one of the more important spots of my body. So yeah, I went to the Shepherd Center in Atlanta. It's a very spinal cord brain injury, neurological paralysis recovery. Recovery center. I was so lucky that was where I ended up, because the amount of information that they like push into you. I did every single class, every single scheduled activity I was there for. So from 9 to 6, I was actively doing something to either physically heal myself, mentally try to heal myself, and just getting all the knowledge that these people have been collecting for 40 years.
Yeah.
You know, it was beautiful. It hurt me when I came back to North Carolina, and I'd go to peer groups, and I was three years in when I came back, and I knew more about what was going on with my body than 90% of the people in there, and they had been in their chairs for 10, 15, 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was it was like real kind of disappointing that. I mean, Wake Med is one of the it is our leading spinal injury hospital. That's where you go for rehab. They have a whole wing dedicated to rehabilitation. And to find that nobody thought that hey, maybe some classes would be good for these people so they know what's going on, you know.
Did you ever bring that up? Did you ever talk to anybody and say, hey, I think, something needs to change, or
Oh, I mean, yeah, I brought it up, but talking about changing an entire hospital's
that's true. Policy and
program, you know, it was not I didn't talk to the right people.
Gotcha.
By any means, I brought it up. I was like, this is sad. They should know a lot more. And to be perfectly honest, I don't even know if it was a Wake Med sanctioned thing or if it was just being held there.
Mm.
But yeah, it was wild. So went to Shepherd. Wasn't making any functional gains after 3 months. And so they gave me the boot. I learned that when it goes back to the swelling of the spinal cord, the inside of your spinal cord is more upper body centric than the outside. So usually when people get nicked or cut, their arms are not really, aren't typically
trained enough. The muscle hasn't been really worked on, so
yeah. And so, but me, I'm healing from the bottom up.
Gotcha.
I wiggled my toe. That was the first movement I made. And then I kicked my leg out or pulled it up in bed. Something along those lines. But it was my leg. And then slowly but surely it's been coming back. I mean, I can do sit-ups.
No, nice.
Now I can do a lot.
That's good shit.
Of things that a quadriplegic's not supposed to be able to do. But then my arms are still dead. I mean, not dead. They're there. I can move it around. I can do some things, but I can't get it to my face. I can't get it to my ass. And those are the two places where you really need your hands the most, you know?
Right.
So yeah. So it's really been difficult, trying to figure out how to live this life without, being able to really do shit for myself. I can make phone calls and things of that nature, but necessities, food, water, food while they're bathing and toilet, I don't need help 100% with all of those. And yeah,
And so going with that, how do you, navigate the day-to-day, I know it's probably a lot more difficult than I can imagine.
Yeah, so, my wife, bless her, she stayed with me for the first 5 years of my recovery, and helped me get to a point where I didn't need her anymore. I still very much so need her for other reasons. I mean, she knows what I'm going through more than anybody else does.
That's true.
And so yeah, she's very detail oriented. She pays attention to my body and knows that I don't like looking like a slob. And so if something's off, she's constantly digging at blackheads and zits on my face and whatnot, which is not my favorite, but it needs to happen, and then she.
So you're saying it's still I'm sure it's been a process, right? It's been a long process for you to get where you are. And I'm looking at you now, and I'm saying you have a good spirit, a good aura about you, what we call now a good vibe. And I know that maybe it wasn't the case when this first started. How did you get to where you are in terms of like keeping
it was
this?
absolutely it started. I was one of the most jovial, easygoing, newly paralyzed people that the nurses had ever seen. You know, they were like, I mean, I was cracking jokes. I was having a blast. Like, it was like, this sucks, but like, I'll get this. This is very fucking temporary. You know, like, told my business partner, give me a couple months, man. I'll be back at it. You know, and I obviously didn't understand the nature of what I had gotten myself into. And then, you know, once 2 months went by, I was like, right around month 3, they started standing me up with my legs because they were working at least well enough to do that. And I said, like, 18 months, I'm going to walk through the doors of Whiskey Kitchen. And then when that didn't happen, then I stopped putting any kind of timetable on it. But I personally feel that it's much better living with positivity. It's healing. Yeah. I don't under. No, I do absolutely. I understand why. I mean, like, also this is my public personality. My private personality can get dark as shit, you know, like, but I don't let anybody see that because there is a fake it till you make it aspect of life, you know. So I go out, I put on a smile, I be as happy as I possibly can. I crack jokes, and that then turns around and has all this positivity coming back my way in return. And again, you know, I'd always wanted to be a leader in this community, and can't be a leader if you're constantly mad and lashing out at people on account of the shit you're going through internally. You know, it's again very difficult to do over and over and over. Again, and sometimes you'll catch me on an off day where I'm honest with you and tell you how horrible this is, you know. But for the most part, it's still the same old, you know, hey man, how you doing? Living the dream, never better. Yeah. You know?
It's all about the mindset though. It's important to instill that mindset. It's important to have it, and despite of whatever it is that you're going through, it's the mindset is gonna enable you, help you to kind of get over that I guess that hump that you're going over, because like Thor was mentioning, I mean, he's living the dream, and you know it may not be what he initially thought for himself, but some way somehow you have to implement that into your brain, and it's hard. I think it's extremely hard to kind of positively constantly think and just positively put that into your brain, because you know we're not always taught how to think. We're always taught what to think. So it's much easier to think what than how, because we're always trained to think what. But that positivity
problem
just
solvers. It's like you know, this culture, this American culture is real quick to be reactive when something goes wrong. But the fact that like preventative maintenance is very unlikely for a lot of people. Yeah, I mean that's I think where you know the whole let's solve this one problem instead of let's figure out how to be better all around.
Yeah.
I'm constantly striving to better myself, sometimes with great success, other times with, you know, great failure, but
as we all should.
I keep going, like
Yeah.
as you.
the positivity is it's one of those things where if you speak it, you live it. I mean, you're only gonna get it right back. You mentioned it already. You know, I'm living the dream, so you kind of get that back. If somebody's asking how are you doing, or you're just nothing but smiles, you're always getting that energy back. It's part of that universal circle that goes around this world that we have no idea about, but it is you just see it more.
There's definitely something to be said about positive energy, positive vibes. I often, say, they're like, I don't like the idea of religion. Never really did, but to say that, this happened on purpose and for a reason, like fuck that guy or whomever, but. And then also don't give him credit for me getting better. It's on my back that I've been doing this. It's me doing it. I mean, I guess whatever you want to believe about the situation, I just prefer positive vibes instead of prayers. I interchange them when I'm speaking to somebody. Got my positivity all day thinking about you, hoping that the best comes around. But yeah, I'm not a big prayer or believer in one Almighty. But
Playing from Ring Planet.
Alexa needs to mind her business.
Computer, disconnect. There is always a very, very strong realization as to how like needy and how annoying taking care of somebody that constantly needs you for something can be, and it's important for me to try to limit my requests as much as possible. And so, I don't like having to wake people up in the middle of the night because I always had a hard time sleeping. So, I could only imagine getting woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning when I had just gone to bed an hour earlier and then not being able to go back to sleep,
Although you don't like that aspect, but when you do need help, you have to call somebody, right? You still have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess for you moving forward, what will be, things that could help you along the line for situations like that? Like what will be an ideal scenario for you? Let's say, when you need help or when you're going through something and you don't want to bother somebody, but you're still able to.
But I have to bother somebody, and that's just a thing that I've got to get over. I will try to wait it out. I will chug. I always have a giant mug of ice water that has a straw that clamps onto a table next to my bed, and I'm able to drink ice water. I can kind of, if I bring my hands up while I'm laying down and then push them forward, I'm usually able to get the covers off my shoulders at least. And so I mean, I do everything that I possibly can before having to ask for help, but just to be able to tell one of these devices to turn on the fan would be the absolutely ideal way to handle.
What device helps you the most? What's your
the Alexa devices, for sure. Those are the biggest help. I mean, Siri is for communication purposes only, for the most part. And then I actually won't even use her. It's used for texting. That's it. Because I'll make phone calls from my Echo devices because I can hang them up. If I call someone and they don't answer, it's like I gotta wait 5 minutes for their voicemail to reach a conclusion, and meanwhile I'm miserable, you know. So I use them to call for help a lot. I also will turn the one in here up to 8, 9, 10, and tell
The volume you're mentioning?
yeah,
Okay.
tell her to play something if these guys aren't waking up to their alarms or to my phone calls, you know.
Gotcha.
Crazy Train is the one I go with.
He has a song down and packed.
Yeah.
What's gonna wake someone up?
It's just like so loud and like they got this like crazy laughter and then real like loud, harsh, high pitched electric guitar. Yeah, I mean it works a lot. I need to switch it up though because I don't want her. I don't want her hating that song. It's a great song, you know, but it's like every time your alarm goes off, you're like, fuck. So, do that one, do Fight for Your Right to Party by the Beastie Boys as well.
Okay.
You have a good selection of things that you go based on.
Try. For sure.
Humble guy, man.
Well,
I kind of want to take it back to when you mentioned something about when you came here doing your rehab and you knew more, 3 years in than the people who were already there. Mm-hmm. That kind of sparked the question, for anybody else who may be, going through a situation like this, what do you feel as though is the number one thing they may need access despite, the knowledge, right? Because we all know that disparity in the knowledge is important. So despite the knowledge, if everybody was on the same spectrum, what is one thing that's important that everyone should have if they were going through something like this?
fucking healthcare.
Gotcha.
I mean, plain and simple healthcare. This shouldn't cost over $100,000 a year to live like this. It's the medical costs that are associated with this. I mean, like even trying to get better. Thank goodness I have insurance because I was able to get this chair, which is it's a Camry. It's a $25,000 chair. And so I mean, without insurance, I don't know how anybody would deal with this at all. It's not like you're gonna pick up a decent insurance plan that's not gonna cost you an arm or a leg once you're already paralyzed. So I mean, healthcare is the number one, the absolute number one thing that like we as a country have to get better at. We've got to figure out a way so that everyone has access to the healthcare they need. I don't know how to do that. I don't think we'd ever be able to get this country to support socialized healthcare. Just that word socialized is
It's a problem.
it's
a problem.
Yes,
in itself.
It is a 4-letter word to a lot of Americans out there. But I think that let them get hurt, man. Let them get hurt. Let them have to see what how much it costs you out of pocket. I mean, you will go broke.
Yeah.
You will go broke. I'm very lucky that my parents did really well for themselves. They started, they started in, middle class. My dad a little bit lower than middle class lives, and I mean they worked to get to a place where they can afford to take care of their 40-year-old son after he gets into a life-altering accident. I think.
Where did you grow up? I don't think we touched on that.
I was born in Pittsburgh. Then
You're a northerner.
when I was 2, the family moved to Gaithersburg, Maryland. It's like 45 minutes north of D.C. And then and stayed there till I was 7. My sister was born there, and then we moved to Carmel, Indiana, and then finally we moved to the Cary area.
What year would you say you moved to the Cary area?
Oh, when was that? Probably, let's see, maybe like 92, 93.
Oh, damn. Yeah, you've been here for a while.
So you had a good.
I mean, I'm a Southern boy at heart. You know, I've fallen in love with the state of North Carolina.
Yeah.
It's got so much dope shit. You know, it's a really nice place to be for sure. And then us being right in the middle, you know, you got 3 hours to the mountains, 3 hours to the beach, and you can make day trips out of them if you'd like, you know. So, yeah. But yeah, definitely. It was just like everyone always assumes that it's military, but really, I mean, just better job offers. You know, and like ping ponged around. I think it was my mom, then my dad, then my mom for the 3 moves that we had. So, yeah, Pops actually had to stay behind when we first moved here. He was working on a project for Eli Lilly. In the worst case of irony ever, he's been trying to figure out how to give people with spinal cord injuries their bladder and bowel functions back for his entire life.
Wow.
Yeah. Since he was, you know, in his mid-20s, he's been
just working
trying to figure out how to, you know,
Holy crap.
help people like me. You know,
The world
it's pretty
works
wild stuff,
in
man.
mysterious
Pretty wild
ways.
stuff. For sure. But
How was that first conversation with, you know, after the injury?
after the injury, honestly, couldn't tell you. I don't remember so much of it from the ICU here. I just know that I was happy. I was really happy. I was also on a lot of drugs, so like, let's not get it twisted. But I did not have the sense of like gloom that almost is over me way more now than it ever has been. It's just like, you know, every year that it's like it just gets shaded in a little bit more. You know, there's dark clouds. They're getting pretty dark. The longer this goes on, the more I'm unable to live the life that I felt I was meant to live. And yeah, so it's again, there's a definite balance of you know, keeping the negative thoughts out and putting the positives in. When I'm by myself, I'm able to like go down. But if I'm out in public, a smile comes on and like it inevitably makes me feel better. Forget about the injury in the back.
Yeah.
You can't do much for yourself until someone's complaining to you about something and you can't
help
like
them
physically go help them do it. But
even what you're saying though, I mean I could say for myself, I still have those negative thoughts.
yeah,
You know, for instance, I don't know. Do you still have those negative thoughts that run through your mind?
I do, but that's usually when, you know, like you were saying, when you're by yourself, it's different. It's you and your mind. You know, I usually call that your roommate. So you know, that voice in your head is your roommate. What kind of conversation are you having with that roommate when you're by yourself?
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot easier when you're around people because, you know, it's somebody else's perspective. It's not you just running different scenario in your brain. So yeah, for sure, that negative aspect is always there.
Yeah. It's just the bounce back, though. I think that's the key thing is how do you bounce back from those negative thoughts that enable you to kind of keep pushing and running and going to that next level and wherever it is that you need to be.
My family is really lucky that I love them. That's the only reason I keep going is because I got a little sister that I still plan on being here for her.
Yeah.
She just had a baby, so now I've got
congratulations.
Thank you very much. But yeah, now I've got just this whole other reason to wake up every morning and do it over again. It can, without a doubt, get quite boring and repetitive.
Oh yeah.
If I'm not going out, that's why it's important. I have something scheduled 4 days a week that actively makes me get out of the house, or even bring somebody over. Thursdays, I have a massage therapist come and stretch me, move me around, fucking make me scream obscenities at them because it hurts so bad, but it's absolutely necessary. It's I don't know that the work, I get 2 90-minute massages, movings a week. I mean, that's another it's expensive, but I could only imagine how much worse I would be if I didn't have that happening. I don't know that it's ever been very progressive so much as it has been maintenance, just making sure I don't get even tighter than I am now. Yeah.
So during all of this, if I'm not mistaken, and this is a question I have myself that I'm sure that others have as well, Whiskey is still in the works. Whiskey Kitchen's still in the works.
Oh, did you alter, did you put a pause on it while everything was going on during your recovery? It was still going.
So nothing stopped. Everything is still in movement. You have a great partner that is taking most of the load at this point because you're working on yourself and working on becoming the best you, the best version of yourself. So when is it to the point where you got back into action? If I'm not mistaken, Whiskey was officially open in 2016, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
8/8.
Say that one more time.
8/8/16. August 8th.
Gotcha. August 8th,
Yep.
2016.
Yeah.
So
also my parents' wedding. Anniversary.
Why don't you look at that?
So that's some fun stuff.
Did you make that happen that way?
No, I did not make that happen that way at all. At all, but it is quite convenient now that I can wish them
they get to
anniversary.
celebrate.
I know that it's their anniversary. Yeah. Anniversary every year now, so it's good.
So when did you get back into the process of working on Whiskey? Was it before the grand opening? Was it after?
It was after. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, soft opening, grand opening, and then the picking of our staff, of our management, that all fell to the wayside. And there were most definitely times where I wish that I had been there. I mean, I always wish that I had been there, but when there are things that there are things that we practice there that I don't believe to be the best way of operating, but at the same time it is successful, and so I try my best to be a positive influence there. But it's always been a little bit difficult for me to really force any kind of change because I do have a business partner, and the general manager is always the tie break, and they're his picks, and so it's always, you know, like feel a little bit outnumbered from time to time, but all in all, I'm very happy with.
We were talking offline about the menu, the concept. You were saying the pairing was something that's, you know, people work a lot on.
Yeah.
I kind of want to know how did you come up with the whole, you and your business partner, how did you come up with the concept of Whiskey Kitchen?
So there's a couple different factors at play there. One is that we both are heavy whiskey drinkers. It is definitely our spirit of choice. I had read in an article in 2014 that whiskey makers had doubled their production across the world. The world, because they saw a giant boom coming. I'd be watching TV, and every time someone would have a glass of something to drink, it was brown. So it was already becoming the next kind of wave in spirits, I guess, and society, and what is classy, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, and then we found that location, and it was so big and massive that it was like, we can have a substantial amount of liquor on this back wall.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
And if you haven't been there yet, seriously, get your ass there ASAP. You're gonna be amazed by the amount of liquor that's there.
We're actually putting in another shelf,
Huh.
so that we can put all the stuff we have in reserves up there as well. When COVID hit, we had a liquor inventory of $110,000. Yeah, luckily we were just talking cash shit about North Carolina's alcohol laws, but
Right.
they did come through in where they bought back a vast majority of the alcohol that we were just sitting on.
North Carolina did.
Yep.
So what do you mean by they brought back, as in, were you still able to keep?
We returned it, and they paid us what we had paid for it. So
Do you know if they did it for multiple location in town, or was
They did it for-
pretty selective?
they did it for anywhere in the state.
Okay.
Every
Okay.
restaurant bar in the state had the.
How was that process? Was it like a quick turnaround? Because you know how, you
It
know.
was a quick turn.
Okay.
It was a quick turnaround. Probably took 2 or 3 weeks,
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, to get started, and then it was never like one big, like, here's $100,000 of liquor. We'll be taking that check, please. It was more 10 here, 20 here, kind of
That's
stuff.
kind of spread.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got the concept with the drinks. What about the food? Like the food, how did you implement that in there?
Well, I mean, that's what I did.
Gotcha.
I was a chef with the catering company. And so, yeah, I mean, that's where my passion has always been. And when I was 14, I got my first job at Jersey Mike's and found that I liked being in the back, cooking the hot sandwiches way more than I like being up front, face to face with customers. I love people individually, but I really don't like people as in the entirety. So yeah, I'd prefer not to be face to face with the customers, but that has all now had to change, because that's all. I mean, that is one of the biggest things I can provide us is customer interaction, and going and doing table visits and making sure everyone's enjoying themselves, spending 10 minutes talking to them, answering whatever questions they have, and then moving on. So I know that I know that my staff appreciates seeing me down there doing that. As I've been told many times, but the customers, I mean, it's never been like mentioned in any reviews that I'm aware of, and we get so many of them that it's hard to see all of them. But yeah, like
And most of them are good.
I always really enjoyed whenever an owner would come to my table and talk to me as a patron. So just try to do that,
Yeah.
What's next for you, whether it's, personal life or with whiskey or with business in general? What are some of the things you want to do?
We are actively trying to purchase the building. So that'll be a big step for us.
Big milestone, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a big step for us. And so, we'll buy the building. I think, we do have the basement where Merge was, rest in peace. But, so, we'll turn that into like a more high-class cocktail bar. I'd actually love to continue keeping some arts down there. There's no sound system anymore, but like some acoustic jazz, I think Valley could use that. We have Sea Grace, but that's in the Glenwood South area. There's nothing downtown proper.
This is just an idea. I'm not going to tell you how to run your business, but you can go as far as having local bands come and perform downstairs.
Yeah. I mean, that's what Emerge was. Yeah, I mean, I'm not hiring a band.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I'm not getting big names, but yeah,
right.
It'd only be locals.
Yeah.
Only be locals. Again, I'm such a proponent of this state and this city that anytime I can try to shed some light on some shit that I like coming out of this area, I'm ecstatic to do so.
Yeah. That's again the big reason why we're here today speaking to you. That's why we've put this podcast together. Is we made it, Francis and I, we made it our mission to make sure we meet individuals that are in the area, the Triangle, Wake County, and just to meet individuals that are making an impact but actually have a story to share, because that story can essentially inspire the next person to achieve what it is that they want to achieve. So it's just like you said,
Absolutely.
you want to just be able to give back to the locals.
Still trying to do it,
despite all the challenges that you're facing.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
Can't let it bring you down. Can't let it.
It's
bring
definitely
you down.
important for people to see.
Mm-hmm.
I never asked to be an inspiration, but if what I'm doing is inspiring, then by all means, take whatever positivity you can from my story for sure.
But your positivity can easily be an inspiration to the next person without you even realizing it.
Oh, absolutely. I understand. I definitely understand that. I think the reason that I say that is because people use that as an argument for like why I should be grateful to be going through this bullshit all the time. I mean, like, I'm in pain constantly. It's always fucking hurting. Always. And, that's, then I get kind of frustrated just in that, like, I don't owe anybody shit, like, I don't have to be your inspiration. I don't want to be your inspiration. Yeah. Inspiration. Now, that's when I'm in a mood and I don't necessarily hold that belief very, very often. But, again, I don't know that inspirations ever want to be inspiration. I don't know. That might not be right either. Yeah, because
those that want to be, I can agree, because those that want to be inspired, I mean, do you really seek for it? I mean, I think it just comes without without any intention of really going out there. It's
I think
I get inspired just because I go out there trying to chase my dream, and as I'm chasing my dream, I get inspired by somebody else's story just along that process. So it just naturally comes towards you.
And I think again, I've been given a platform to be a positive influence on my community. Like, if not the world, maybe someday, I don't know, but like if I could have a positive influence on the more the merrier. So yeah.
I think you're already doing something though with the platform that you have, with just you being you every day. I'm sure you come across people who have conversation with you and feel as though, hey, I was one of them.
Yeah.
When I first spoke to you, it kind of sat with me, and I carry that even with some of the decision that I'm making along the way. So it's like you might not see the impact that you have right away, but that impact is always there.
I want to share something. My very first time meeting Thor was literally just my girl and I sitting down. I think we were playing Uno that night. And then Thor just comes up to us and literally starts having a conversation. I didn't look at it in any sort of way. My girl didn't look at it in any sort of way, because we're just two individuals that, enjoy talking to people and meeting other individuals. But it was just so unique how Thor was just so comfortable walking, just literally coming up to us and just having conversation. He was drinking with us. It was amazing. It was an experience, I'll definitely say.
I think I came up to you guys because I needed someone to give me alcohol.
Gotcha.
Right?
I think, I don't remember.
Like, I think I had a couple beers in my backpack. I was like, hey, you're here. You seem nice. Let's see if I can't get you to pour some booze in me. Yeah. It's definitely, I've never really had a hard time talking to people.
And you've been in an environment where you always had people around, so it's like, I'm sure it was an issue.
So it, and now it's even easier.
Yeah. Oh,
because there's obviously something to talk about, like, especially just meeting someone is, it's always.
You're at his, so if I were to ask him what makes him unique, and he got that right off the rip.
That's one question. What do you think makes you unique? What would you?
That's.
I think I'm in a very unique position, just given how fucking positive I try to be all the time. I think that's something you don't get from a lot of people in my situation. Have a lot of people cracking jokes and laughing. And,
your outlook on life is different than most people in your situation.
I don't see people in chairs like myself out on town at night. Like, I'll see them during the day, but I'm out there doing it on a very regular basis. So,
and you're still operating a business as well. That's
trying to, for sure. COVID.
Yeah,
COVID hit all of us so hard, man.
How was that adjustment with COVID being around?
I mean, it was, we had a very, very good sales period the month prior, and so we had to pay sales tax and payroll tax for what was and then we also had to pay payroll. So we dropped like $80K within the first couple weeks, but after that, my management team, they kept our bank account steady. We weren't making money, but we sure as shit weren't losing money. And so, like, I'm sure it was much harder on them than it was on me, But yeah, I mean, we were able to keep our employees' insurance going until they refused a job offer to come back. You know, like if you agreed to come back, we never let your insurance lapse, and that's something that was real important to me. But then, you know, I think Aziz Ansari just came up with a new stand-up special on Netflix, and he put it best as like everything is just a little shittier now. You know, like we don't have people to staff our restaurant. You know, I'm talking about potentially having to close a section of the restaurant just so that we can get back to the standards we had pre-COVID. Because if we can't do that with a full restaurant, which we're not currently doing, we have to make some changes. And that might be an unfortunate reality until I don't know where everyone went. I don't know where all these hourly workers.
Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur now.
No.
Yeah, right.
I think everybody, seriously, to answer your question, I think everyone's just home. I think a lot of the work from home aspect, that's what is really, that's what you're feeling. It's that aspect in itself is just keep everyone's home. No one's really leaving home to, hey, because I know at least myself, when I used to work downtown, Whiskey was literally a 5-minute walk. I would go there, you know, not every day, but I would go there at least once a week to go, you know, just hang out.
Yeah.
See, I actually have something to say about it. I don't think it's more about, you know, people just, you know, disappearing on, you know, the job. I feel like COVID made people more aware of the importance of time. So now people are taking ownership of their time and trying to do the things, you know, that they actually want to do. So like,
and that makes sense. It's just very surprising to me that it took a global pandemic to make people realize that like you don't gotta come schlep in a busy ass kitchen. It's kitchen work, restaurant work in general, but especially in the kitchen, is hard, grueling work that you do not see the financial benefit of like the other guys around you. We do it because there's a passion, there's something
that's the key right there.
Oddly masochist about it, you know, where you know we enjoy hurting ourselves. I genuinely kind of missed the feeling of getting a burn. It meant that I was working, you know, it meant that I was doing things that were, you know, what felt to me were important, you know, and not having my hands in there anymore, not being able, like, I mean, I'm getting a belly on me, man. I ain't never had a belly before. You know, just sitting down all the fucking time really makes it hard to burn off these calories. But yeah, there's definitely been a shift in people's, I guess, desire and availability to work, you know, these jobs that. Kind of again, like I always wish I knew how to work from home. That would have been dope, you know. make a living from my couch. That'd be great. But
that's where I think the people in the service industry, like yourself, you know, Whiskey, and anybody who has to physically be at the location, it's kind of hard to adjust, you know, with COVID.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so with that being said, like, what are some ways that, you know, the people that are listening to this can help Whiskey in a way to continue to strive and be here and, you know, continuously make the impact that it's already making.
You know, obviously, just patronizing us is a help to us. And then, I mean, if you're hungry.
You do have some really. Did you ever take the Brussels sprouts out the menu?
That's it. You get that every time you go.
Every time I go, I come for the Brussels sprouts like that.
They're still there for sure.
That's a hit.
So if you ever remove that, you know you will be hearing from this guy. Every time we go.
I hear
every
that.
single
you
time.
know, we got a lot of grief when we took the the fried cauliflower off the
Okay.
menu. It was, and we replaced it with the fried broccoli. There was a cauliflower shortage. Prices went up. We had to pivot, move away from it, but it was a fan favorite for sure.
Yeah.
And then we brought out the broccoli, and nobody really seemed to talk about the cauliflower anymore. So rest assured
Ah.
that if we do remove the Brussels sprouts, there will be something equally as wonderful to go on
believe
there
you.
for sure. But again, we got very lucky that the restaurant has fucking 25, 30-foot ceilings. It's got a lot of glass on it, so it feels well more open and outside than any other restaurants around. And then we also have a huge patio and a giant garage door that goes up, and so it really it felt safer than being in other places at the height of everyone's fear.
Yeah.
It definitely felt safer there than if you had gone to a place with 10-foot ceilings or what have you. And then I cannot commend my management team enough for how they've handled this whole thing. We had to lax up on some of our standards. We thought it was going to be a temporary thing, we'll just let's make the kitchen easier. We're having to replace staff members with people that aren't necessarily fully trained because we'll have a day where 3-4 people call out, and if you've trained once, it's better than someone who's not trained at all. So, they get thrown to the wolves, and then it's hard then to kind of pull them back and be like, you're not done training.
Yeah.
And so, again, now realizing that this is not going anywhere, that we have to figure out how to start operating to the standards that we had in place in the very beginning. And again, I'm not sure exactly how to do that, but it's an absolute necessity. People came to expect a certain amount of attention to detail that I don't know we're holding all of our people accountable to meet those expectations. I don't think we're disappointing a lot of people, but it's felt within the organization, I think, a lot more than it's felt by the customers, that's kind of ideal, right? That's how
Yeah. Oh yeah.
you want to operate.
You build a culture that lives at a certain standard, and when you feel as though you're not, hitting that ceiling, of course you're gonna feel it. Yeah.
Yeah, especially all the people that have been with us we celebrated our 5-year anniversary this past August, and I was able to bring 13 people up to where myself and Jeff were sitting, who had been there with us since the first year.
Whoa.
Not since day one, but since that first year. And that's not normal
No, that's huge.
in restaurants. That means doing something right. So
Keep the blueprint. Keep going at it. Yeah.
Keep going at it. I think that's the only way. That's the only way to go at it, right?
Right.
It's out of that. I could give up and quit, and I'm not a quitter.
Please don't be.
I'm definitely not a quitter. So
We had a conversation, a very brief conversation offline, and you said, "Oh, you're getting killed in crypto." So you're not a man of just the restaurant business, man. You do a few other things. So
yeah, I mean, you want your money to make money for you. I think that's the ultimate goal.
So that was
I mean, and I had a 50% return at one point
nice.
in time, and now I don't. So yeah, I mean, I do like to dabble in like, whiskey is providing me with some more financial stability these days than it ever has, and so I'm able to take small chunks of money and invest it into things that are appealing. It's not a thing. It's nothing that I can't afford to lose.
Gotcha.
But it is real nice to watch it grow.
Oh yeah, it is
For sure. And then it sinks when it sinks, man.
Who taught you, or what taught you the ability to make your money grow, to invest it? At least for myself, it's something I had to personally learn myself, and just kind of go out there and seek for that knowledge. Yeah. So I'm just curious, like, who helped you, or where did you kind of get that knowledge from to understand that?
My godfather,
okay,
Terry Engel, has always been a pretty serious role model in my life for how to conduct yourself personally. And how to conduct business. He was retired by the time he was my age. So by the time he was 40, he was retired. He had made enough money to go on living quite comfortably. And then
was this in the stock market or like in what?
No, it was in shipping cargo.
Gotcha.
Yep, he started. He started an air freight company to handle all the logistics of shipping through the sky, and then that sold for a pretty penny, and he was a pretty heavy percentage owner of that, and so he made a good amount then, and then he turned around and invested that into a gentleman that he knew and had faith in when it came to ground freight company and trucks.
Same industry though, right?
Yeah, kind of same industry, but just a new twist to it. And then that company sold for an outrageous amount of money. And so that's always been something that I took away from that, is that I like to invest my money in people much more than stocks or crypto. If I have someone that brings a solid business plan my way, and I know them and I see how they work, and I respect that, then let's make some money. Let's make some money together. Yeah. If I got to go down, if my bank account has to drop so that it can eventually, pop, then that's what it will happen.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to take that risk, but you want to take that risk with somebody you can trust.
A very educated risk.
It's a calculate.
A very educated risk,
Very.
Yeah.
I don't think we all want to take risk in our lives, especially with our money.
No, you're not just gonna go down the street, pick up anybody, and say, "Hey, let's do business together."
It's the same thing. You're not gonna look at any crypto and just say, "Oh, this looks like a nice crypto," or "Hey, let's just pick this company. This looks like a nice stock."
Yeah.
And just you gotta make sure you do your due diligence, your research.
Absolutely.
Make sure.
I've always been a risk taker as well. I've never.
Yeah, welcome to the club.
Never been scared to shy away from a challenge.
Welcome to the club.
The year before I got into my accident, I was at my buddy's wedding in Chicago, staying with Sarah's cousin and her boyfriend. at the time. First time we ever met, it was kindred spirits, you know. And we went and we climbed this big train tower over I forget what river it is that runs through Chicago, but there's a big train bridge and a huge trestle that went up above that. And on the way down, there was a coal car that was coming. And we had been talking about if you had to jump from the top, do you think you could land on the downslope of one of these piles of coal and survive? And we just decided no. But when I got down to the very last piece of scaffolding that went over top of the train, I decided that I could make that jump, and I did make that jump into a moving coal train about 30 feet of a drop, landed on the downslope beautifully. You know, didn't hurt myself at all.
Nice.
Alan, however, decided he was going to do it with me. And I said, please don't be down there to help me get off this train if I knock myself out, you know. And he ended up being the one that needed help off the train because he knocked himself the fuck out. He jumped just a split second after I did. I landed higher on the coal pile than I thought I was going to. And so he landed right on the tippy top of that damn pile of coal, smashed his face into it.
Oh.
There was a big gash in his forehead that then, like, we were hammered, you know, so he went home and fell asleep without washing it out. And
Oh man.
it gave him an old school tattoo. Like just this weird little shape on
How old were you guys when
his
you did
forehead.
this?
I was 32. He's a little bit younger than me, I think. So maybe
Okay.
30.
So you're 30s,
Yeah.
still doing
Yeah,
wild shit.
absolutely. Yeah, man. I mean, one of my favorite things to
You used to
say
skateboard.
was like find the highest thing and jump off. Like that's the way to live life right there.
Wow.
You know. And yeah, I skated a
You used
bit.
to skate? Yeah.
Skated a bit. Played hockey. That was the team sport that I played. But yeah. I mean,
You ever-
Daredevil all day.
You ever been skydiving?
I have.
Ah,
Yeah,
let's talk about that experience.
I'm actually looking to go in this condition as well.
Yeah.
I had a line on it, and I'm not sure exactly what happened. I probably just stopped bugging them, you know. So, but yeah, so I have people that are willing to take me. They just have to find the right time.
Right.
But yeah, that'll be really exciting. You know, that's when I jumped before I had the instructor strapped to my back. And he had done over 20,000 jumps.
Also, you're comfortable.
And it's
enough,
like, oh, so this shouldn't be scary at all.
so you're comfortable enough jumping on your own.
Yeah.
Oh, God bless you.
No. I've not jumped on
Okay,
my own.
gotcha. Okay, I was
No, I've not jumped on my own. The one time I went, I had an instructor.
Gotcha.
Instructor who had done it over 20,000 times. Well, now I'm talking to people that I will be their first quadriplegic that they take skydiving, and so there's some fucking excitement there for me for sure. It's been like finding a release to give me some of that adrenaline that I so highly crave is like really difficult. I go 5 miles per hour. That's not fast enough to get scared. I got hit by a car while I was in the chair. They ran a stoplight. I'm sorry, they ran the stop sign right out here at the front door of the Lincoln, and I was crossing coming into the building, and I saw like a car, but it was far enough away that I was like, I'll be able to get across here. And then I realized that they weren't going to slow down. And so I stopped and I backed up as fast as I could. And it ripped the damn foot plate off. The back wheel well caught my feet and ripped the foot plate off of the wheelchair. They just kept rolling, man.
Oh, they didn't even stop.
They just kept rolling. Nah, they weren't stopping for that stop sign. They weren't stopping for me, that was for sure. I think they were probably able to look back and see me sitting in my chair. Oh, whew, didn't kill him, you know? But yeah, that was some adrenaline for sure. That also made me realize that, like, I am not ready to go yet. You know, I could have very easily sat there and let that van run me down if I wanted to, fat enough, but just something, that self-preservation, like, automatically kicked in.
Yeah.
I was like, hell no, let me get out of here before you get there. Because I think worst case scenario is that I get hit and I don't die, right? Like, that I have to start this whole shit over again, or I get a brain injury, which that is a fear among fears, that to not be able to do anything for yourself, to have to rely on other people to do everything for you, but to also lose the ability to communicate your needs. That fucks my whole stomach, chest, heart. It messes my entire insides up thinking about the potential for that to happen. Thinking about I met a girl up at Slim's a while back, and she had just recently come on as a caregiver for a woman who had been in a coma for a year. And then comes out of the coma and she's unable to function as a human.
Wow.
You know, and I'm not sure where her head is, because I know she can't, or at least the girl didn't think she knew what was going on, but she couldn't communicate whether she knew what was happening or not. So
that's what I told you on the last episode. Like, the ability to think. Like, if you can't think for yourself, that's you can't do anything really. You can't communicate with anybody.
No, and that's like, you know, she gets hungry and she can't
tell you.
Say, like, this is what I want. I'm sure she has cravings, you know, but she's got to get whatever's brought to her, because she's not able to. And I found that to be insultingly selfish of her parents to do to her. Keep her alive for a year in a coma, only to have her come out and still not be, you know, much better off for it. That's a weird.
That's another story, though.
That's a hard one for me for sure. But yeah, that's a rough one.
I gotta So, I mean, Differential, do you have any last thing? So yeah, as we're about to get ready to wrap up, I do have this one last question. So, for anyone that may be, you know, in your situation where, you know, they're not able to do, you know, the same things that they were able to do before, prior to an injury, or even, you know, starting a business, or, you know, just wanting some information on life, or just some guidance or advice, you know, what advice would you really share with, you know, the listener listening in, and just kind of wanting, you know, a little bit of, I guess, maybe motivation, or, you know, whatever. Any last words that you really kind of have for?
Stay positive.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's pretty much my mantra. I guess I don't say that all that much. My real mantra is I'm healing at the pace of a damn glacier. But nothing can stop a glacier. They carve mountains out of rock. And so that's essentially what I'm trying to do here. But yeah, I mean, that's a positive thought, right? So stay positive as much as you can, as long as you can, and donate to Next Step Raleigh.
Next Step Raleigh.
Next Step Raleigh. Yeah.
So is that
We,
nextstepraleigh.com
we-
or where
We
can-
opened. You can find them on Instagram. _Raleigh.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was nothing for me to come back to here, but I had to come back because I have my business, and so Mom found a franchise and opened up a franchise.
Nice.
Here is strictly for neurological paralysis. That's ALS, MS. I mean, I'm very concerned that it's going to end up being like long COVID. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it really affects your neurosystem, and it has nerve pain and the hands and feet a lot like I have. One individual that I'm close with lost the ability to empty his bladder all the way, so he had to have a catheter in for a month or so. It's systematically is taking people apart, and I don't think we've come even close to seeing the repercussions that are going to be had from some of the worst off individuals.
Yeah.
But yeah, so spinal cords, brain injuries, ALS, MS, any of the degenerative nerve diseases.
That's what Next Stop Raleigh is
That's
about.
what next.
Yeah, Next Step Raleigh. We'll make sure to put the link on our
There you
our
go.
bio.
Yeah.
There you go.
And also the Instagram page. So
We're doing a lot of really good things for a lot of people that otherwise wouldn't have the ability to come and learn how to walk again and learn how to jump again and so on and so forth. So it's really important that we continue and make that a lasting thing here in this community as well.
you got it, man.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Thor, for even taking the time to talk to
Absolutely.
us today.
Yes, sir.
It was my pleasure.
You were pretty high on my list. I was like, you know what, I want to take the time to have a conversation with you. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Again, we bring you guys these stories for a reason. It's not just to share these stories. It's for you to really get insight on other individuals' life and see the things that they go through on a daily basis or a consistent basis, monthly, whatever that time frame is for that person, and just implement it and just kind of take what it is that they're going through and see how can you increase and make your life a little bit better. And maybe it's just a small, simple, hey, thinking positive, right? That's Thor's here. His motive in life is just to think positive and kind of do positive things for others as it will come back to him. So if there's anything that you're going to take from these stories, is anything that's going to take from this podcast, is being able to hear different things that you can implement in your life as well to then push you and get you to that next level, whatever level that is. It's all up to you. We're just here to kind of give you that bridge that gap and get you to that next level.
Man, the focus is just leveling up. Cause I know the life I want, I'm just setting it up. Removing those that's close who try messing it up. Can't wait for champagne toast with the relevant bunch. Like, what's up? Yeah. Like, what you do, homie? What's your vision? How you thinking? How you move, homie? And is you cool, homie? You thinking building, then that's something we could do, homie.